on my chest, the weight of the world on me. Everything's crashing down, everything I've known. When I wonder if I'm all alone, I remember, you have always been faithful to me. I remember, even when my own eyes could not see, you were there, always there. I will lift my eyes, always, even in the pain of all the lies. I know you can make a way. I've seen giants fall, I've seen mountains move, I've seen waters part because of you. I remember, you have always been faithful to me. I remember, even when my own eyes could not see, you were there, always there. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. I remember. You have always been faithful to me. I remember, even when my own eyes could not see, you were there, always there with me.
Good morning. I'm just doing a test this morning before the show starts at 9 o'clock. How are you doing this morning? I'm recovering from the flu, and I remember that he is always the creator of the universe, has really been good to me because I had a horrible bout of flu, and I'm happy to be alive and happy to be here this morning. And so I've got lots of things to be thankful and grateful for. So I'm just doing a test this morning, and I'm just going to be plugging it this morning before we start at 9 o'clock on the radio, ellensoulradio.com, and also on YouTube, my YouTube channel, Angela Lee. So don't forget to subscribe, and also on StreamYard and Facebook Live. And so I'm not starting yet, I'm just plugging it, and you can share it if you like, feel free, and you can join in the conversations this morning. It's Angela Lee, the Angela Lee Show I've been off for a while, as I mentioned, because I had the flu, a bout of the flu, but I am fully recovered. I've lost a bit of weight, but guess what? I was fighting it, and I thought, you know what? Just leave it off, girl. And so, I'm good. How are you this morning? And so I'm just plugging it so that people can join me this morning before I start the show. No one's here right now. Everyone's probably went out and had a good time last night and probably sleeping it off. Hey, who knows? But you can actually also listen to the recording on my Facebook page, or also on my YouTube channel. You could listen to the recording once you've woken up. So let me know how you are. Let me know how your week has been. And join me this morning. It's early. It's 8:52. I know, and it's a bit early, and it's the weekend. And I know. I get it. But however, if you are up this morning, join with me in the conversations this morning. We're talking about how can we remain balanced in this chaotic world. I mean, there's loads of things going on this morning, isn't there? There's so much things going on this morning, so much stuff that's causing anarchy, that's causing panic. There's so much stuff going on. And we're going to be giving you some tips and tools on how you can actually remain balanced in this chaotic world. And it's so important for us to remain balanced, isn't it? So important. Otherwise, we're going to allow people to yank our strings, and we're going to be fueled with fear and panic. And so this morning, that's what we're going to be talking about. And as usual, as we usually do before we start our show, we're going to be doing our affirmations this morning. So I'm just doing a tester just to see how we are doing. So if you can hear me this morning, let me know. If you can't hear me, then let me know. If I need to raise my volume, then let me know. This morning, good morning. It's Angela Lee. It's an autumn morning. And yeah, let me know how you are doing this morning. We're talking about how can we remain balanced. How can we remain balanced in this troubled, chaotic, confusing world where people are actually fist fighting for fuel? Can you imagine? Fist fighting for fuel. Yeah, so much going on in this world today, and it's so important for us to have balance this morning. And so let me know how you are doing. Denise has sent a nice good morning to me this morning. She's going to be joining me on another show soon. And so let me know how you are doing this morning. Let me know how you are doing. Denise is up this morning. Good morning, sweetheart. How are you doing? How are you doing this morning, Denise? How are you doing? Thanks for joining me this morning. That's my another co-host, and we do a show once a month about overcoming trauma. So she's going to be joining me soon, doing another show, another talk, another chat about how we can overcome trauma. And we're here to support, to share, to grow. And as I mentioned, I was good morning, Maria. Ro, how are you doing? I have recovered from a bout of flu. Yeah. Oh, bless your heart. You got a bit of a headache. Drink lots of water and fluid, honey. Yeah. I was recovering from a bout of flu. I had an awful bout of flu this over a couple of weeks. And I couldn't shift it. I had the cough, I had migraine, I had headaches, I was shivering. It was awful. I thought I had COVID. That's how bad it was. And I'm so grateful to the Most High for keeping me and letting me overcome that, because it was just awful. Never had flu like that before. And I'm so grateful to be alive this morning. I'm so grateful that He's preserved my life this morning. And yeah, I had a lovely welcome week. Denise, yeah, she's asked me how was my uni on my first day. Yeah, um, I've started to do a new adventure in terms of university. I've started my masters, and I'm doing it in psychology of mental health, and I'm doing it part time while I'm juggling my work at the same time as a teacher. So it's a juggling act, and I'm so grateful to my employers because they gave me the days off so I can do it. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it? Lovely employers, and yeah. So the day was great. I met a lot of my peers. I'm the second woman on the course, ethnic woman, then let's say, or Afro-Caribbean woman, let's say, on the course. There's other women, there's Asian women, it's multicultural actually. And I think there's two men on the course, so that tells you a lot, isn't it? There's some people on the course doing their PhD, there's some people doing like child psychology, there's lots of people doing different things. Yeah. And yeah, I'm excited. It's a bit of a trek because it's in London. But I don't mind. Because I love London. You know, I've spent most of my life in London, and I love doing things in London. So yeah, it's good, and I enjoy traveling. You know, away from where I live and to London. So yeah, it's great, and I've met some amazing people on the course, and our first session is actually going to be next week, and so I'm so looking forward to it. And people might say, why are you studying psychology and mental health, Angela? And I decided to study psychology and mental health because, as you know, my story, I've been through my own journey of well-being. Members of my family have gone through their journey or going through their journey. I've got friends that are going through their journey. I've got colleagues that are going through their journey or overcome their journey. I also have students that I teach that are going through their journey. So I'm surrounded by lots of people that are going through their journey or have overcome, and I've had that experience. And as we know, mental health and well-being is a hot topic in society. We have wealthy people, poor people, different classes of people, celebrities that have all had their own experience in terms of mental health. And as you know, this is our well-being and mental health show. And so it's so apparent and it's so important. And I've got a fascination on how the brain works, you know, psychology, how the mind works. I have a growth mindset. I like to explore and encourage growth mindset. The way we think is so pivotal to how we are going to have that powerful outcome in our lives. And so that's the reason why I'm studying it. So it's going to be a challenge, but you know me, I'm up for a challenge. And at the end of it, I'm hoping that I can use it to support you know, my business, and to support my students, and to support my friends and my family, and to support you out there. And so yeah, I'm excited about the journey. And so let me know how your week has been. Maria Rowe, good morning, how are you doing? And yeah, and Denise is saying it's meant to be, thanks universe. Absolutely. And sometimes, you know, we wonder why things happen in our lives, and it's entirely the universe at work, most definitely doing the things that needs to be done. Yeah. And sometimes we go through things in our lives and we wonder why we're going through things, and we're going through things and we overcome things so that we can actually support and help others. That's the reason why we are vessels for the universe to help others. That's why we're here. We're not here just to help and serve self, which is very important, to serve self first before you can actually serve others. However, we're here for a purpose. And I'm hoping that this morning you will find your purpose this morning. And so welcome to the Angela Lee Show. We're streaming live on Facebook Live, and we're streaming live on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee. So do subscribe. And we are also streaming live on Facebook Live and StreamYard. And so I'm going to play a happy tune for you this morning. For those that are just joining me for the first time, let's have a bit of a power dance, she says. Let me see if I can play this tune. Let's have our power dance this morning before we start. Oh my God, let's get this advert out. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There we go. Let's have our power dance this morning. Denise is saying I'm editing our last interview about trauma recovery and also the next new single, Set Me Free. You go, girl. Come on, let's have a dance this morning. Woo! Share the show this morning. For those that you believe need to hear this message, we're talking about how can we remain balanced in this chaotic world where everyone's fighting for fuel. Oh my God, the queues over the weekend has been horrendous, hasn't it? How can we remain balanced in this world of anarchy, of panic, of alarm, of scaremongering? So important for us to remain balanced this morning. Let's have a dance this morning. We have an amazing show for you even next weekend. I'm going to be talking to an amazing lady, and I'm going to tell you more about that at the end of the show. Let me know how you are doing. Denise has got her next new single out, Set Me Free. And if you missed our show over the past couple of weeks, then you can actually see our show on trauma, how you can overcome trauma. You can see it on my YouTube channel, on Denise's YouTube channel, on our Facebook pages. That's Denise Wise and myself. How are you doing this morning? We want to be happy this morning. There's too much anarchy out there. I'm happy to be alive this morning. I've recovered from my flu. I've started uni, my master's course. I am so happy. I've got so much things to be happy about. What about you? Have you got so much things to be happy about this morning? Let me know if you are feeling happy. If you've got lots of things to be happy about, let me know this morning. And so before we start, we're going to do our positive affirmations as we always do this morning. And so wherever you are this morning, if you are sitting up or lying down, Brandon Thomas, giving thanks. How are you doing, brother? I haven't seen you for ages, eh? How are you doing? Much love to you. And so this morning, if you're sleeping or if you're lying down, if you're sitting up, join me with our positive affirmations this morning, as we always do, to start our day. It's so important to start our day with a good positive note, isn't it? It's so important, particularly in the times that we're living in where there's so much anarchy going around. My God, we do need to remain positive, don't we? We do need to remain positive. And so join me this morning. And don't forget to share the show if you can. And let's do our deep breaths this morning, because you know how vital, how important breathing is for our brains, for our relaxation. So let's take a deep breath in this morning. Inhale in and inhale out. Again, let's take another deep breath this morning. Inhale in. And exhale out this morning. I'm doing a juggling act. I'm monitoring a couple of streams this morning. Streams this morning. Okay, and so the message this morning as we start our Sunday, the beginning of the week, how can we remain balanced in this ever-changing world? Oh my God, as I mentioned, we've got people fighting for fuel. We've got the shopping malls that are being empty and people are actually panicking. And so before we start the show this morning, let's do our positive affirmations in terms of how we can actually remain balanced, because it's so important. It's so key. I'm sure you will agree with me this morning. Let's take another deep breath in to inhale and exhale out this morning. And let's do our positive affirmations this morning. All areas of my life are harmonious and balanced. Every day I make time to work on all my goals equally. Every day I achieve balance between my thoughts and my actions. Let's repeat that one. That's really powerful, isn't it? Every day I make time to work on all my goals. Every day I achieve greater balance between my thoughts and my actions. Every area of my life is in perfect balance. Every area of my life is in perfect balance. All my life goals are in perfect balance. All my life goals. We've got 3 months left to the end of the year. So important to have our goals in perfect balance. The rest of the things that we need to do to achieve. All my life goals are in perfect balance. All aspects of my life are in perfect alignment. All aspects of my life is in perfect alignment. Every thought I think is creating my future. Every thought I think is creating my future. So important for how we think, because guess what? We are putting things out there in the universe and we are creating our future. So all aspects of my life are in perfect alignment. Every thought that I think is creating my future. I am in the process of positive change. I am in the process of positive change. I now choose to release all hurt and resentment. This morning, let's release all hurt, all resentment this morning as we free ourselves this morning, as we try to find balance this morning. Let's free ourselves. It is safe to look within. It is cool. It's safe to look within, to do that internal dark shadow work, to be reflective, to be self-aware. It's safe to look within. It's safe. I forgive myself and I set myself free. So important for us, not only to forgive others, but to forgive ourselves. Lots of us, we struggle with forgiving ourselves of past mistakes, etc., etc. So thank you for joining me with those positive affirmations this morning before we start our show this morning. So let me know how you are doing. We're having a lovely conversation this morning. So let me know how you are. Do share the show for anyone that you believe that needs to hear this message this morning. Do share the show this morning. And so how is it possible for us to remain balanced? Is it possible for us to remain balanced in this world that we're living in terms of the anarchy or the scaremongering that the media is creating, in terms of the changing world that we're living in? Is it important? Is it possible to remain balanced? And this week, as we know, that we saw the horrific murder of Sabrina Nessa, the 28-year-old teacher who died on her way to her local pub whilst meeting a friend in southeast London. We have COVID-19 and post-lockdown, post-Brexit, with the shortage of HGV drivers on a global scale. So this shortage of drivers is not only on a UK level, it's on a global scale. We have Europe, we have the USA, all around the world there is a shortage of drivers. From fruit picking to the hospitality sector, that are also feeling more of the pinch in terms of that loss of that workforce, because Brexit has got a part to play in this, hasn't it? Including the pandemic. The headlines, the straplines from the tabloid press to the broadsheets, along with the surmountable media channels, has done nothing but escalate the scaremongering that are giving people in society this state of panic. People that are already traumatized from the pandemic, and it's actually giving them this sense of fear. the fuel crisis. I mean, I was looking at some images of people or in society and the general public fighting each other, fist fighting for fuel, and people filling their jerry cans. And now the government or the fuel companies have a £30 limit on people who can actually refuel their cars. And so it's anarchy out there. It's particularly similar to, remember the loo roll chaos pandemic that we had, where everyone was actually buying loo rolls and we couldn't even find loo rolls anymore. And so we see people double fueling in petrol stations, panic buying, and even those very essential items that we want has now become scarce. Let's not become delusionalized. Let's not be fueled by this fear and this scaremongering, because there is enough food to go around. There is enough. We see equality or inequality in terms of the distribution of the COVID jam. We saw Harry and Meghan attending that event in Central Park, fighting for equality of the COVID jab distribution for those that believe in taking that jab. And we see how the third world countries have been treated unfairly, and how the West has nullified the authenticity of their own jabs. I mean, and they're not recognizing it. And this has caused total anarchy and confusion. I mean, how can we remain balanced? I mean, people from countries outside of Europe are having to retake the COVID-19 jab, nullifying their jabs. Inequality. We have the global earthquakes. Most recently on the island of La Palma. Good morning to you, Dawn. How are you doing? In the Canary Island. Do you know when that volcano erupted in the afternoon of September the 19th after a week-long build-up of activity? And days later, the lava continued to flow through the four mouths of the volcano towards the island and even the western coast. And by September the 20th, it had already forced evacuation and relocation of over 5,000 residents. We have the forest fires. We have the hurricanes. We have tornadoes. How on earth can we remain calm and balanced? Having a sense of balance initially derives from ourselves. So we can't begin to have balance in this world of anarchy, this changing world of balance, if we have internal wars within ourselves. And so having this sense of balance initially derives from ourselves, first and foremost. And it begins with self-awareness. Being aware of self, being aware of who you are, being reflective and conscious, awoke. If we are out of touch with ourselves, we cannot begin to find a sense of balance. And so if we have not got this sense of awareness, if we are out of touch, out of sync with ourselves, there's just no way that we're going to find this balance in this chaotic world. So having this sense of balance initially starts with self. Being aware of yourself, being in touch with yourself, being in tune with yourself. Many of us are still living in survival mode, having been traumatized by the impact of COVID-19 pandemic that is still amongst us. And although the restrictions have somewhat lifted and some people have returned to work, and we don't know, in some places we no longer need to wear masks. And in terms of my job as a school teacher, we are back into the classroom, back to face-to-face teaching. I went back to, I started my university course this week, and apparently in the university they have been doing remote teaching for 18 months, and so everyone was excited to be back to this face-to-face teaching. I know that my students were happy to be back, because this COVID-19, in terms of working remotely from home, has impacted on people's mental health, on their well-being, and people have felt a sense of isolation. Many of us have lost friends, loved ones, and we have experienced surmountable losses, illnesses. As I mentioned, I've recovered from a terrible bout of the flu. As people recovering from cancer, going through cancer, there's so many illnesses. Over 50% of the population are already feeling anxious. So we're already feeling anxious. And so how on earth can we have this sense of balance? And as I mentioned, it starts with self. It starts with being aware of self, being in tune with self, being aligned with self, not being in an internal war with self. So many messages I'm getting. Now, the UK adult population, and this is a report from the Mental Health Foundation, and they reported that the UK adults in general have slowly become less able to cope with the stress of the pandemic, with the stress of the changing world and what that looks like and what their changing world looks like. The proportion of people reporting that they were coping well has fallen slowly and steadily from 73% in April to 62%. And so that's still considerably high. We have 62% of the population still feeling a bit nervy. And as I mentioned, the world is facing complete anarchy in terms of what's happening in the environment and what's happening in terms of the fuel shortage and the drivers shortage across the globe. It's not just a UK thing. The global mental health epidemic is on the rise. According to WHO, there are approximately 280 million people in the world that have depression. That is quite staggering, isn't it? 280 million people in the world have depression. Over 700,000 people die due to suicide every year. Over 700,000 people die to suicide every year. More than 75% of people in low and middle income countries receive no treatment. And so these people that are struggling with their well-being and their mental health, 75% of these people are in low and middle income and they receive no help. They receive no support. And so can you imagine, people are struggling. People are on survival mode. And this is our mental health and our well-being show today, where we talk about these pertinent issues that is impacting on many of us. And as you know, my story, I've overcome mental health issues. I used to suffer from depression. I used to suffer from panic attacks. And you know my story, which is why I'm doing the show, because I'm doing the show to support others on their journey. Suicide is the fourth leading cause of death in 15 to 29-year-olds. Can you imagine? Suicide is the fourth leading cause of death in 15 to 29-year-olds. So how can we keep a balance? How on earth can we keep a balance in this changing world? How is it possible? We are only too familiar with the stigma associated with mental health, along with a lack of resources and professionally trained personnel. And as I mentioned, it's why I'm embarking on my master's course in psychology of mental health, because, you know, I want to help. I've managed to overcome and help myself. Have managed to support, friends and family and young people that I teach. But there is a need. There is an urgency for further help, because there is a suicide epidemic that we're facing between 15 to 29-year-olds. They are actually taking their lives. And the global health epidemic is actually on a rise. And so we can no longer sit on the fence. We can no longer uphold this stigma of not talking about how we feel and not acknowledging how we are coping. We can no longer sit in the fence and close our eyes to this epidemic, because suicide is the 4th leading cause of death. And we know what the statistics look like in terms of middle-aged men in terms of suicide. So often, many people remain misdiagnosed and are put on antidepressants. And I remembered when I was going through my journey of mental health a decade ago, and when I had my first doctor's appointment, the first thing he did was to suggest that I go on antidepressants. And so many of us are misdiagnosed. We're not given the right treatment. And what worked for me was actually psychotherapy, in terms of talking about my struggles, and we know that the NHS has this talking therapy, and we know that we can actually have therapy where we can talk to counsellors and professionals about our struggles. So important to have a conversation this morning. So important to talk about how we feel and to share our coping techniques and strategies so that we can all help each other. So important, because there is still a stigma in society, and particularly in my community, the Afro-Caribbean community, on a global scale, there is still a stigma where we continue to suffer in silence. And this is so apparent, because when you go to these mental health wards, the stats of figures of women and men and young people, it's alarming. And so it's time for us to remove ourselves from that taboo, that stigma of talking about mental health and how we feel and how we are coping. It's time for us to break those walls, those barriers, those stigmas, the taboo. Because as I mentioned, many people in society, rich and poor, wealthy, celebrities, politicians, professionals, are all talking about their struggles with mental health. And so it's the norm. It's nothing awkward. It's nothing abnormal. It's normal. Everyone is struggling. As I mentioned, we have 280 million people in the world, according to WHO, that are actually have depression. 280 million. And those figures are staggering, aren't they? And I am happy that people in society at least are having that conversation, because before no one was actually talking about it. People were struggling to even talk about it, embarrassed, feeling a sense of shame to talk about their mental health, their well-being, how they're thinking, how they're feeling, how they're coping, how they're struggling. So important to have that conversation. I'm happy that people are beginning to have that conversation, So many charities out there, so many initiatives out there to support people in society. And we need to tap into those resources that are available. We have the royals, we have Harry and Meghan sharing their personal struggles with mental health. So people are actually talking about this. But before we can begin to have balance and to find balance in our lives, as I mentioned, before we can begin to do that, we have to be at peace with ourselves. We can't have this internal war within self. We can't be out of touch with self. It starts with us. It starts with self. And I've often mentioned on many shows that acceptance brings peace. We need to accept ourselves, no matter what that looks like. None of us are perfect. We need to accept ourselves, warts and all. Our circumstances, we need to accept, no matter what that looks like. We can have goals to work to change that, but we ultimately need to accept ourselves, because acceptance ultimately brings peace. We need to live in the present moment. Many of us are trapped in the past mistakes, past regrets. We need to live in the present moment, the here and now, and accept our reality for what it is. So we have to live in the here and now, the present moment. And whatever our reality looks like, we have to accept it. Many of us have had to change jobs, have lost our jobs. Our worlds have changed, our worlds have crumbled. We have to accept that reality. We can't be in an antagonistic relationship with ourselves. We have to find alignment with self in order to find that balance that we so much need in this world, this ever-changing world. Because failing to do that, failing to accept reality, failing to live in the present moment, failing to accept ourselves is only going to incite internal wars within ourselves. As we ponder on the should haves and the could haves, and we live a life of regret, stuck in the past mistakes, past bad choices, it does nothing to help our well-being. Being stuck in the past, it does nothing to support our well-being. We need to move away from the past, acknowledge the past, yes, but not live in the past. We need to live in the here and now, the present moment, and accept our reality for what it is. Good morning to you, Anne. Yes, we need to normalize discussing and assessing quality psychological therapy. Thank you for that, Anne. Absolutely. We have to normalize talking about our well-being as if we're talking about shopping or going to the gym. We have to normalize it. Thank you, Anne, for that. We have to normalize it because as we mentioned, those figures are staggering. We have 280 million people worldwide suffering from depression. We have 700,000 people on low and middle income not receiving support, not accessing that support. And as a teaching practitioner, the mental health epidemic is enormous within the education sector. And as I mentioned, which is why I'm doing my master's in mental health and psychology, to delve deep and to offer that further support, because I've had my own journey. So remaining balanced is essential. Living in the present moment is essential. It's crucial. Deafening your ear from toxic noise and chatter, news headlines, reports. And so people are opening themselves to this negative energy, negative vibrations, listening to, news reports and reading all these negative headlines and these stories, which is why people are panic buying, why people are, fighting each other for fuel and refueling. People are living in panic mode, survival panic mode. And when we succumb to these headlines, these toxic headlines, they're only going to yank our strings And they're going to give us this sense of fear and panic. I mean, it's important to sort of catch up with what's going on in the world, but I'm not living my life based on the news headlines. I mean, I haven't actually gone out to get any petrol. Luckily, my car was in the garage, but I'm not going to be going out there and panic buying and fighting each other and going shopping and doing that, because I'm not living a life of fear. I'm not living a life of fear. I'm not going to adhere to the scaremongering agenda of the government to have us living in a state of panic. Good morning to you, Jackie Booth. Many blessings to you. And so remaining balanced is essential. That we need to live in the present moment and deafen your ears from toxic noise and chatter. Sometimes we have a circle of friends that are toxic, low energy, low vibe people, always talking about pessimism, never optimistic, never seeing things, in a positive light. We need to remove ourselves from those and deafen our ears from that toxic noise, that chatter. Jackie's saying there's enough resources. Absolutely. There's so much resources out there. I mean, I tapped into them myself. So self-awareness comes from self-acceptance, self-responsibility. Good morning to you, Carl. Many blessings. He's saying we must try and have not fear. When you live in fear, you are not in control of your destiny. Absolutely. Thank you, Curly. And so if we're living in fear, if we're living in panic mode, we're not in control of our destiny. We're not in control of our future. We're allowing the government, we're allowing the powers that be to control us. And so self-awareness comes from self-acceptance and self-responsibility. The sooner we begin to understand that no one is coming to save us. Because there's some people that are looking for a savior to save us. No one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. So self-awareness comes with self-acceptance and self-responsibility. That we are ultimately responsible for self. Our first responsibility comes with self-responsibility to self. We can't serve others without serving ourselves first. We can't give to others without giving to others first. We can't love ourselves without loving others without loving ourselves first. And so self-responsibility is fundamental in order to find that balance that we're striving for in this world of anarchy. And we need to understand that we are ultimately responsible for ourselves and no one is coming to save us. And that's when we can actually begin to live our lives in the true authenticity. It means that not being at war with ourselves. We're at peace with ourselves because we've accepted ourselves. We have a sense of personal self-responsibility. Not to deny the reality of what is true of us right now. And there's so many of us are living in denial. We're not acknowledging our reality. And so some of us, we drink our reality away. We take drugs to block our pain of our reality away. We get ourselves involved in sexual relationships with so many people to block that pain and our reality away. Some of us, we become shopaholics because we're trying to block that pain of our reality away. We're living in delusion. We're traumatized by our pain. And so we use so many crutches in our lives to block that reality. However, to have a life of balance, it's so important that we are in tune with ourselves. Jackie is saying, if you were stripped of all your material possessions, there will just be you and yourself to accept Absolutely. Denise is saying self-responsibility is really good. It's a really good point, Angela. People would rather stick to their head in the sand or blame everything and everyone else. Absolutely. There's lots of people that like to play the blame game, blaming their parents. And, we're not actually excusing some parents have to take responsibility for their actions, but however, they're human beings also. They were struggling also. And some of them were only able to access the resources at that time, and that was their reality. And so we need to have a growth mindset and move away from the blame game of the past and be more empathetic and sympathetic. And there are some of parents and adults that refuse to accept their responsibility for their actions, and they're not aware of their actions, and they're living a lie, and they're living in delusion and trying to remove themselves from their reality or of the truth or whatever that looks like. And so in order for us to have a life balance, it's so important for us to have self-responsibility and not deny the reality of what is true for us right now. And sometimes our reality is ugly. It doesn't look good. That reality is so ugly. That reality is so painful. That reality is so traumatic. However, we need to be aware of and live in the truth of what that reality looks like. Because we can't keep drinking it away. Jackie's saying she's loved the topic. And she said that she has to go, but she'll watch the recording. Many blessings to you, Jackie Booth. Absolutely. And so we can't keep drinking it away. I mean, I used to do that in the past. We can't keep taking drugs to block the pain away, keeping high, because at some point we got to come down. We can't sex it away. We can't become shopaholics. We have to face our reality. No matter how ugly and that looks like, we have to accept that our reality. Because accepting our reality is when we become in touch and in tune with ourselves. To accept ourselves is to accept the fact of how we think and how we feel. So accepting ourselves is accepting how we think. So accepting our thoughts and making sure those thoughts are actually positive thoughts. And is saying that, yes, we owe it to ourselves. Good morning to you, Maria Cook. Yes, we owe it to ourselves. To accept ourselves is to accept how we think, how we feel. That's a part of self-awareness, self-accepting, self-responsibility. We need to accept how we think. So if we're not thinking right, we need to say, yes, okay, do you know what? We are not feeling right. We're not thinking right. My thinking is self-sabotaging myself. And we need to devise a strategy of how we can actually eradicate that out of our lives, how we can actually change that, how we can make that good. We need to find a strategy of people that we can actually tap into or resources that we can access in order to change that self-limiting belief, that self-sabotaging belief that we have in our lives. And then we tend to blame others, and it's ourselves. So we need to accept how we think. We also equally need to accept how we feel. We can no longer continue to repress our feelings, ignore our intuition. If we continue to do that, we're treading on dangerous grounds. We have to accept the way we feel. Our body is keeping scores on how we feel. Many of us are traumatized. I've been traumatized by our past. And our body's keeping those scores. And that's an amazing book that you need to get. It had good reviews in the Guardian, and I'm still reading it. Our bodies keep scores, and sometimes we meet people that trigger us. We need to be mindful of how we feel and how people make us feel. Are people giving us a good experience? Or are people giving us a bad experience? And those people that are not giving us a happy, positive experience, we need to remove ourselves from those people. So we need to become more aware of how we feel and how people make us feel. We need to be in tune with our feelings and not repress our feelings. We need to listen to our intuition, our third eye, our guide, our moral compass. However, there are some of us that are so traumatized that we have actually lost that sense of self. We've allowed ourselves to be so traumatized that we've lost that sense of self. We're no longer in touch with ourselves. And our feelings have become desensitized. We can no longer feel. We're numb. We're cold. We lack empathy. We lack sympathy. Because we have lost that sense of self. And as Jackie mentioned, there's so much resources out there. So we have no excuse to remain stuck. We have no excuse to remain entrapped in the past. We have no excuse because there's so many resources out there. There's so many things that you can access online. And for those of us that don't want to meet people and do face-to-face therapy or talk to people that we know about our personal business, we need to move ourselves away from that stigma and that taboo of talking our business. I mean, I was raised in a community where I was taught, our families were taught not to talk our business. And as a result, in the Afro-Caribbean community, there's high levels of depression, high levels of mental health issues. And in many other communities, because many of us were taught that. And so we need to unlearn those things that we were taught in our families. We need to unlearn those behaviors, those toxic behaviors of not talking, of not having that conversation. I want to commend this amazing man in the community, Stephen Brown. He has his own journeys, his own struggles with mental health, and he talks about it. He communicates it on a daily level, and he offers support despite his own struggles. And so we have men that are beginning to talk about their struggles. And so we need to normalize having this conversation. And as we're on our mental health and well-being show this Sunday morning, we need to normalize having a conversation of how we're feeling, being true and honest, taking that self-responsibility of how we're thinking and how we're feeling. In order to have balance in this chaotic world, we have to have a sense of self, a sense of who we are. We need to be in touch with ourselves, our feelings, and not become desensitized. So whatever our circumstances this morning, whatever our journeys, and we are all individuals and we're all on our separate journeys. We're all on our personal and different paths. However, in order to progress, it is important, it's essential that we surround ourselves with progressive and positive people and remove the toxins from our lives. And so that's our sense of self-responsibility. We can no longer play the blame game. We need to take responsibility. And Dawn is saying she had to pull over to join in. Let's read what she's saying there. And she's saying, to be honest about how you feel, remember your thoughts should be your friend. Take the thoughts out of your head and write them down. When you listen to what you are saying and choose to turn it around, you can create a new way. Remember, your mind is helping you to survive, but cannot support you with critical and low thoughts, you can help yourself, but you need to start helping yourself first. Thank you, Dawn, for that. Excellent. And you know, Dawn is the author of Free to Be Me, an amazing, powerful book. So if you haven't got that, get that. You can get it on Amazon. Thank you for that contribution, Dawn. And she has joined me on past shows that we've done together. Many blessings, Dawn. Marcia Cook is saying spot on. And so absolutely. So whatever our circumstances and our journey this morning, and as I mentioned, we're all on our personal journey. No one has arrived yet. We're all on our personal journey. So no one can look down on people thinking that you're better than them. No, we're all on our own personal journey. We have different paths that we have to tread. And however, as I mentioned, in order to progress, in order to find balance in this chaotic world, we need to surround ourselves with progressive growth mindset, positive people, and remove ourselves from the toxins from our lives. And so if you have toxic people that are always putting you down, you know, those toxins, those toxic energy drainers, then you need to remove yourself from those toxins in your life. Low vibration people, never finding the light, always have everything negative to say. You know, the negative naysayers, you need to remove them from your lives if you're ever going to find that balance, if you're ever going to find that alignment. You need to surround yourself with positive people, growth mindset people. Anne is saying, absolutely, we need to remove toxicity from our lives. Carl Perkins is saying, I know exactly what sort of people you're talking about. Absolutely, we know them. And sadly, some of them are our family members. And sometimes we feel we have a sense of responsibility because they're our families and we need to, have them around. But hell no. If you have family members that are toxic, that are impacting on your mental health and your well-being, then you need to remove yourself from those people. You need to set healthy boundaries. Give them limited access to you, because your well-being is first and foremost, it's paramount. Because if you have not got balance in your life, it can actually impact every area of your life and you will not be able to function. And so you need to have that self-responsibility to yourself first and foremost. It's Angela Lee. It's our mental health and our well-being show today. And as you know, I keep it real this morning because this mental health is real. As I mentioned, we have 280 million people worldwide suffering from depression. We have 700,000 people that are not actually tapping into those resources. And we have over 700,000 people that are dying of suicide. In fact, suicide is the fourth highest death rate in the global world. And so if you think that, we can no longer talk about it, or we need to continue to sit on the fence, then guess what? We're fooling ourselves. There's many of us, we have friends, we have family members, we have colleagues that are going through their journey of well-being. And it's time, as I mentioned, we start tapping into these resources. It's time that we have this conversation. We need to remove ourselves from this limited belief, this self-sabotage, the things that have been passed down to our families in terms of not having that conversation, in terms of not talking about how we think, how we feel. We need to remove ourselves from that thinking, that fixed mindset, and move on to this growth mindset of progression, where we start to have that conversation, where we start to have that dialogue. Because it's okay if you can't cope. It's okay. We're human beings. Sometimes life can kick us in the teeth, and it's fine to feel if we can't cope. However, it's not fine to stay stuck. And in the show today, I'm going to share some techniques. I've shared a couple of things in terms of being self-aware, in terms of being self-accepting and taking that self-responsibility and knowing that there's no one out there that's going to save you. You have to save yourself. That's what I had to do a decade ago. I had to save myself. I had to go and tap into the resources that was readily available. I had to start talking. And luckily for me, you know me, I like talking. I had to tap into those talking therapies. I had to tap into those resources. And so this morning, if you're struggling with your mental health, if you're struggling with your well-being, if you're struggling to cope, there's so many resources out there that you need to tap into. You need to start having that conversation. The time has long gone where we're going to be far removed from our feelings, far removed from our thinking. We can no longer continue to repress our feelings this morning. We need to start having a conversation this morning. And as I mentioned, we need to remove ourselves from toxic people, from toxins, from energy drainers, including members of our family. We need to set healthy boundaries so that we can safeguard our mental health. Marcia Cook is saying, I've learned that pride does not mean hiding my truth. Absolutely. There's some of us, we're caught up with an ego and pride. You know, we have set ourselves on a pedestal in the community, on a pedestal in society, and they cannot know that we're breaking. They cannot know that we're not coping. We've set ourselves on a pedestal for failure. We always want to look good in the eyes of society and in our community, living a lie. It's okay if you can't cope. It's okay if you're not feeling good. It's okay if you're struggling. You know, we need to normalize these conversations. It's okay not to feel 100% every day. It's okay. But as I mentioned today, but what's not okay is to stay stuck. And so this morning, I'm going to talk you through a few steps. And this morning, I'm not talking at you this morning. We're having a conversation this morning. And I want to appreciate all those people on the thread that are participating in this conversation, because we have to begin having this conversation with each other if we're going to help each other. If we're going to begin to heal, if we're going to begin to recover, we need to have a conversation. We need to keep it real. I mean, I've been there. I've had the panic attacks. I've had chronic insomnia where I couldn't sleep. I was on tranquilizers. I couldn't sleep. I've had the depression. I've had the low mood. I had the suicide tendencies. I've been there. I'm talking from experience. And if I can overcome, and there's some people that are having to take medication. I'm not going to say to people, stop taking medication. If medication works for you, then you take it. But for me, I tapped into talking therapy, psychotherapy. That's what worked for me. I started to have that conversation. I started to discuss how I was thinking, how I was feeling. I started to do that shadow work, that inner work. I started to do that self-reflection. I started the journey of self-acceptance, of self-responsibility, knowing that there's no one out there that's going to save me, that I had to save myself. And so I'm talking from experience. I'm keeping it real this morning. And so joining the conversations this morning. Just want to let you know that I'm actually a qualified NLP coach as well. And many of you are aware that I'm doing a master's in mental health and psychology in order to further help not only myself, but people that I am surrounded with my students, my colleagues, my friends, my family. We're all on this journey together. There's no shame. We should not feel a sense of shame, because mental health is a normal thing that we go through. It's a part of our physical health, but it's a mental health. It's our emotional health. It's our psychological health. It's our coping skills. And so I want to share a couple of steps on how we can achieve this balance that we so much need in our lives. But before I do that, you know me and my music, I just want to share a song that we can share together. I just want to play this lovely song before we start. Thank you for joining me this morning. It's Angelie on the Angelie Show. We're streaming live on ellensoulradio.com, and we're also streaming live on Facebook Live, on my YouTube channel, Angelie. So don't forget to subscribe. Join in the conversations this morning. Denise is saying she's had 2 years of talking psychology therapy combined with body therapy called bioenergetics, based on Jung, and more of a holistic approach in Switzerland. Not cheap, but our private health insurance paid for it, 50% of it luckily, and it was a lifesaver as it helped me to get out of my mind-controlling cult and then my unsuccessful marriage, and then start a new life of freedom and fun. Thank you for sharing that, Denise. Many blessings to you. So whatever works for you, you tap into the resources. Dawn is saying, start by telling yourself, I can turn this around. I am getting started again. I can turn this around. I got what it takes. Absolutely. Positive affirmations. And we did our positive affirmations this morning. So important. Thank you for sharing that, Dawn. And Curly is saying, thank you for being truthful on your emotion in how you deliver your message. It's down to earth. Thank you, Curly. Many blessings to you, Curly. And I'm keeping it real this morning, because as I mentioned, I've gone through my own journey. And I'm going through so many different experiences. And if I can overcome, if I can stay balanced in this chaotic world on my journey, my own journey, then guess what? You can also find that balance. You can find that alignment. And I can tell you, in my next book, I'm going to share a couple of things, and it will shock you, it will surprise you. You'll ask yourself, how can you remain balanced? It is possible. It is possible. Thank you for joining me this morning. Thank you for joining in with the conversation. We're having a conversation this morning. So important for us to normalize this conversation this morning. Giving praises to the God of the universe for keeping me alive. I mentioned I just recovered from flu. Oh my God, what about a flu I had? Excellent, Denise. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Denise. No one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. No one is coming to save you. You've got to save yourself. You've got to rescue yourself this morning. Take self-responsibility. No one is coming to save you this morning. Save yourself. Self-responsibility. When I was going through my depressive journey, I thought the church people were going to save me. And when I ran to the church, they shut the door. When I was calling the deacons, they slammed the phone down. No one's coming to save me. No one came to save me. I had to save myself. And I'm keeping it real this morning on the Angela Lee show. I'm keeping it real this morning. And, you know, all respect for those that go to church and those religious people. But guess what? I experience that no one is coming to save me. And Dawn is laughing. My knight in shining armor. Guess who that is? Myself. I save myself. The universe helps me. The universe brings people to surround me, positive people to surround me as I raise my vibrations and my frequency levels. As I change my mindset and develop a growth mindset, the universe will draw those like-minded people to you. However, you have to have self-responsibility and you've got to save yourself. Hope you enjoyed that song. I'm drinking my lemon. I'm still drinking it because I'm recovering from my flu, as I mentioned to you. And as I mentioned this morning, self-acceptance, self-awareness, being aware of how you think and how you feel, self-acceptance, accepting yourself, accepting your reality for what it is, and self-responsibility. You take responsibility for your own self. No one's coming to save you. And so let's look at a few steps that we can take in order to have that life balance in this world of chaos, in this world of anarchy, where, as we mentioned, we've got people fist fighting for fuel. We have people that are adhering to that negative chatter, news reports, headlines, scaremongering, panic buying. And so before we can have that life balance, we need to acknowledge areas of our lives, particularly the state of your mind and your feelings. Be honest with yourself and be mindful of the areas that you are neglecting. And so before we can begin to have this life of balance, we've got to acknowledge the areas of our lives and the state of our mind and our feelings. We've got to say, okay, how am I thinking? Am I thinking right? Am I thinking negative thoughts? Have I got limiting beliefs? Am I self-sabotaging myself by the way I think? How do I feel? How do people make me feel? We need to be honest with ourselves and we need to be mindful of the areas that we are neglecting. What areas of our lives that we are actually neglecting? Are we people pleasers? Are we yes people? Are we rescuers? Are we caretakers? Are we enablers, rescuing everyone instead of rescuing ourselves? We need to be honest. We need to acknowledge where we're at. That's the first step. And once we've acknowledged where we're at in terms of how our minds are, how we're thinking and our feeling, and once we've acknowledged the areas that we are neglecting, we need to actually practice self-awareness, self-reflection. We need to, sort of check ourselves. How you doing, Ange? How are you feeling, Ange? How does this person make you feel, Ange? How do your circle make you feel? How does your family make you feel? How does your colleagues make you feel? How do you feel? How are you thinking? You need to be present and be conscious. You need to do an inventory of your friends and your family. Are they good for me? Do they give me a good experience? Do they make me feel good? Do they make me feel loved? I mean, why stay in a circle of friends that don't make you feel good? That's always putting you down. That always suing, chattering. Why stay in a negative circle of friends that zap your energy? Check yourself. Self-awareness, self-reflection. Be present and be conscious. How does my family members make me feel? Certain family members. Do they make me feel good? Do they give me a good experience? And as I mentioned, we need to set healthy boundaries. Keep them at a distance. Love them at a distance. Set healthy boundaries to safeguard your mental health, to safeguard your well-being, to safeguard your ability to stay balanced. There are some people out there that yank your strings, and you allow them to yank your strings because you're giving them access. There is a statement that we love so well, and we say it all the time. What you allow is what will continue. So simple. What you allow is what will continue. So stop allowing people to yank your strings. Set healthy boundaries. Don't give them readily access to yourself. Find internal peace. Before you can find balance in this world of chaos, this world of anarchy where people are fighting for fuel, living in security mode, you need to find internal peace. Mind, heart, and health. You can't find balance if you have an internal war of self. If you're warring with yourself, if you have not got that internal peace, you can't find balance. You can't find that alignment if you are at war with yourself. And so if you're living a life of regret, a life of should have and could have, a life in the past, stuck in the past, if you've not forgiven people that have hurt you and you've not even forgiven yourself of past mistakes, of past bad choices, you are not going to find that balance. You're not going to find that internal peace. And so you have to have self-reflection and be accepting of your reality, of your now, whatever that reality looks like. You've got to accept it. It is what it is. You've got to be conscious and find that internal peace. You've got to practice mindfulness. And what is mindfulness? What is it? Is it a buzzword? Mindfulness is just simple. Think what you're thinking about. Critique what you're thinking about. Analyze what you're thinking about. Is your thinking appropriate? Have you got limiting beliefs? Are you self-sabotaging yourself in terms of how you're thinking? Mindfulness. Sit still for a moment. Sit quiet for a moment. And analyze. Think what you're thinking about. Scrutinize what you're thinking. Is it right? Is it positive? Examine your thoughts. Examine them. And as Dawn mentioned, Dawn Crystal, the author of Free to Be Me, she says, start writing down your thoughts. Start writing how you're thinking. Examine your thoughts. Keep them positive. Find that area, as I mentioned, that's neglectful. What am I doing? What am I not doing right? How can I change that around, as Dawn mentioned? How can I turn that around? How can I change it and keep them positive? You can actually do yourself like a chart, positive and negative. Write your negative thoughts and write positive thoughts alongside them and change the way you're thinking. Practice meditation. Meditation is so important. First thing in the morning before I wake up, I give praise to the universe for waking me up. I start my prayers and I start my meditation and I listen to calming music so that I can find balance, so that I can align myself. Before I start my day, I have a routine. I start my affirmations. I start pronouncing positive affirmations over my life, over my mind, over my thinking. I have a routine. I start my exercise. I start my yoga. I start my Pilates. I start my stretches. I start my exercise. Before I even begin my day, before I go to work, before I go to uni, that's my daily routine. So we need to establish that. Practice meditation and incorporate this positive affirmation, this routine, this daily routine is so important. It's so important. I mean, billionaires say this. Mind gurus say this. How we start our day is essential. Because if we're going to start it on a bad note, guess what? It's going to end. It's not going to end good. So incorporating this positive daily routine of affirmations and meditation and exercise in our daily morning routine before we start our day is crucial. Step 3, set goals. Look at the areas of your life where you would like to find balance and make a list. So look at areas of your life, because remember, we're doing this self-awareness. We're doing this self-critique, this self-reflection, and look at areas of your life that you would like to find balance. You know, that wheel of life. And so areas that you're finding that there's a neglect, make a list. Okay, I need to find balance, by doing exercises. I need to find balance in terms of my family. I need to set healthy boundaries. I need to find balance in terms of my friendship circle. Make a list. I need to set a balance in terms of the way I think. Make that list. It's so important. And remember, this morning we're talking about how we can find balance. Plan tasks. Step 4. I'm giving you some steps and techniques that I endorse, that successful people endorse in order to live that balanced life in this world of anarchy, in this changing world. Look at what worked in the past and look at what did not work. You know, your strengths and your weaknesses. Think outside the box and see how you can do things differently. Who was that person that said, is it Einstein that says, you know, it's stupid or it's ludicrous to continue doing something and expect a different result? And so sometimes we need to have a look at how we're doing things and change the way we're doing things, do things different. Look at the past, reflect on the past and see what worked and what did not work. We're doing a self-reflection. We're doing a self-analysis. We're doing a self-inventory. And so plan those tasks. Do things differently. Work on that list. I'm hoping that this is helping. And for those that are listening on the ellensoulradio.com, I'm hoping that this is useful for you. For those that are listening on Facebook Live, I'm hoping that it's beneficial. For those that are listening on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee, don't forget to subscribe. I'm hoping that this is helpful. And for those that are listening on StreamYard, welcome to you this morning. And I'm hoping that this is going to help you because it's actually helped me to find balance in the midst of my chaos, in the midst of anarchy. And so step 5, reflect. How did you manage? Dennis John is saying definitely of insanity, doing the same thing again and expecting a different consequence. Good morning to you, Dennis John. Many blessings to you, my brother. And so how did you manage to stay focused in the past? How did you manage? And so reflection is so important. What actions and steps did you take in the past? How that helped you to remain focused? How did you handle your doubts and your fears in the past? Your anxieties, your worries? How did you manage those negative self-talk? How did you manage in the past? What did you do? What techniques, what strategies did you employ to stay focused? What did you do? And for me, I remembered every time I have a negative thought, because we all have thoughts that come through our mind, that funnel through our mind. And so I counter-react it with a positive thought. Negative thinking, I counteract it with a positive thinking. But because I've already started my day on a positive note, I'm already on a high. My vibrations is high. My frequency levels is high because I started my day on a high. I set the rudder for how I want my day to begin. And so look at the past, reflect on how you managed. How did you manage? How did you manage to stay focused? What are the things that you did? Step 6, empowerment. Empower yourself. And as I mentioned in the show earlier on, no one's coming to save you but yourself. No one's coming to save you but yourself. And as I mentioned, I thought that church folk a decade ago was coming to save me. They didn't save me. They shut the door to me. I had to save myself. I thought family members were going to save me. They were trying to save themselves. And sometimes some people can't even save you because they're trying to save themselves. They're living in their own security mode, in their own safety mode. They can't help you. They're trying to help themselves. And so there's no point trying to run to people to help you. Save yourself. And how you save yourself is by taking that self-responsibility. Tap into those resources that are out there, that are readily out there. Tap into resources, access resources, start having that conversation. Save yourself. Motivate yourself. That daily routine, as I mentioned, is critical. It's crucial. Motivate yourself before you wake up in this morning. Don't put on the news. Don't read the newspapers. Start your positive affirmations in the morning. Don't listen to your negative friends, your negative family. Start saying your positive affirmations over your life first thing in the morning. Motivate yourself. Empower yourself. Start listening to those positive messages. There's so many resources out there. Positive mindset thinking. Growth mindset thinking. Motivate yourself. What are the things that you are saying that is self-sabotaging? Listen to positive and inspirational music, messages. Set a daily routine and stick to it. Do you know it takes 21 days to create a habit? And so if you stick to this daily routine for 21 days, it will become a habit. And guess what? You wake up in the morning, you think, oh my God, guess what? I haven't done my positive affirmations. I haven't, prayed. I haven't meditated. I haven't listened to my positive message. I haven't done my exercises. I haven't done my stretches. 21 days to create a habit. So start doing things differently. Listen to inspirational music, not toxic, draining, deadbeat music, violent music. Listen to inspirational music that has positive lyrics, that can lift your spirit, that can lift your vibration, that can lift your frequency. I surround myself with it. I'm hoping that you're finding this beneficial and useful. And if you've just joined me this morning, then you can also listen to the recording. You can listen to this again. Let's look at the heart chakra. What is the heart chakra? Your heart, your guide, where your intuition resides. Practice equal give and take. Reciprocity in terms of giving and receiving love with your friends and your family and your significant other. Your heart chakra, it can't be blocked. Practice equal giving and taking. And so if you have a friend or family or your significant other and they're not giving you that equal love and that equal giving and receiving that you give, then you need to check that relationship. You need to check it and say, actually, do you know what? I'm over giving here. So in our friendships, in our family relationships, in our personal relationship, it's got to be balanced. It's got to be an equal give and take to keep that heart chakra going, that heart chakra clear, unblocked, equal give and take. Stop being a people pleaser. Stop being a yes person, equal give and take. And so if you're doing all of the calling and your friend or your family member or your significant other is not calling you, you need to step back a bit and check yourself and say, actually, you need to have a conversation with that person and say, actually, do you know what? I'm overgiving here. Or you need to take a step back, or you need to set healthy boundaries, but you still need to have that conversation. Equal give and take. Don't overgive. Give to yourself first before you give to others. Equal give and take. So if they're calling you 50% of the time, then you call 50% of the time. If they're calling you 20% of the time, then you call 20% of the time. If they're giving 10% of the time, then you give 10% of the time too. Don't overgive. Equal give and take. Very important in terms of getting that life balance. Being interdependent instead of codependent. And the reason why some of us, we overgive and we overlove and we become yes people is because we are codependent. We lack that self-worth. We lack that self-esteem. We don't value ourselves enough. And so we become a yes person. We become a people pleaser, always wanting to please people, thinking that when we work for people, they're going to love us more. Stop doing that. Be interdependent of people. You can survive, if necessary, on your own. And move away from this codependent tendency of kissing ass, being a yes person. You know those people in our communities and society. Forever going the extra mile. That's unnecessary because it's so important. In order for us to find balance is to have this equal give and take. In order for us to find balance is to have this equal give and take. If you're not calling me, guess what? I ain't calling you. If you're not giving to me, guess what? I ain't giving to you. It's simple. Don't get it twisted. Equal give and take. The throat chakra begins with being authentic, keeping it real, expressing our true self, speaking up for ourselves and speaking our truths. The throat chakra, if it's blocked, some of us, we've got croaky voices. We can't talk. We can't communicate because our throat chakra is blocked, because we're not keeping it real. We're trying to catch up and live and catch up with the Joneses. We're living a lie. We put ourselves in a pedestal in society, a pedestal in the community. We want people to look at us a certain way. So we're not being authentic. We're not being true to ourselves. And some of us, we can't speak up for ourselves. And so if somebody is actually not treating us good, we just repress our feelings and we hold malice and we become unforgiving and we give them the silent treatment. Or we send them to Coventry, or we start ghosting them. Speak up for yourself. Speak up. If people aren't treating you right, speak up. Give them a call. It's just the way we deliver that message. Speak up for yourself. Speak your truth. Have that conversation. Do you know what? I actually didn't like the way that you said this. You know what? I didn't actually like your behavior. And if they don't listen, then set healthy boundaries. Set healthy boundaries. The time is long gone when you're becoming a beg, when you're running down people for friendships and relationships. Those times are long gone. Equal give and take. Be authentic. Keep it real. Express your true self. Who are you? Express your true self. And speak up for yourself. And also speak your truth. I'm hoping you're finding this useful this morning because I'm keeping it real. I'm being authentic. I'm expressing my true self. I'm speaking my truth. And I've kept it real this morning. I've shared some personal things with you this morning. I've got no guilt. I've got no shame. I'm not perfect. I'm on my journey. I've overcome a couple of things, and there's much more things for me to overcome. But I'm here to share. I'm here to support. I'm here to help you on your journey of where you're at. We're here to help each other. We're here to support each other. None of us have made it. We can't be caught up with this ego, with this pride, this facade that we're okay. Because as I mentioned, it's okay not to be okay. Keep it real and reach out and get in touch with people that can help you, resources that can help you, resources that can support you. Keep it real. Because guess what? The only people that you're fooling is yourself. Living a lie. When you shut that door, the real reality is facing you in your face. And as I mentioned earlier on the show, we can't keep drinking it away. We can't keep drugging it away where we've got to be constantly high. We can't keep sexing it away where we're always changing partners. We can't keep shopping it away where we become shopaholics or busybody, busy doing nothing. We are so restless that we're overworked, we're busy. That's a form of a crutch. When you're constantly busy, no one can get to you, no one can reach you because you're busy. That's a form of a crutch. Thank you, Anne, for sharing that. Last but not least, connect. Make those connections. Anne says collaboration is key. Absolutely. Ione Aris is saying it's a great show. Very important points. Many blessings to you, Ione. Thank you for joining me. Connection, collaboration, partnership is key. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Make those meaningful connections with like-minded people. Connect with people that are doing better than you. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you're on a low vibe, guess what? You're going to attract like-minded people on that low vibe. Very important for us to keep our vibrations high so that we can attract people that are on a high vibration, on a high frequency. And I shared a couple of things. I remember a couple of years ago, I was on a low vibration. And guess what? I attract people on a low vibration and it didn't end good. So it's so important for us to keep our vibrations high. And as I mentioned, we do that by incorporating that in our daily routine, that we're on a high. Before we start our day, we're on a high. Our vibrations, our frequencies on a high. And guess what? We're going to attract those high vibrating people because your vibe attracts your tribe. Make those meaningful collaborations, because guess what? If you're vibing and if your frequency is high, the universe is going to bring those people to you, those powerful vibrating frequency high people around you. The universe, the laws of attraction, is going to be magnetic. They're going to attract themselves to you. They can't help it. And so you're going to be able to make those meaningful connections with those positive people, with those like-minded people. I've met some amazing people in the community, in society, that are like-minded, some amazing people. And guess what? People that are on a low energy, they can't keep up with me. They can't stay with me. Guess what? It's too much for them. And if they do stay, they have to level up to where I'm at. Because guess what? I'm not leveling down. I'm leveling up. And so important for us to connect with people that are doing better than us. They say, show me your friends, and I show you your future. So make those meaningful connections with people that are doing better than you. If in your circle, you're the only one that's doing good, guess what? You need to change your circle, because you need to be aligning with people that are doing better than you. I'm going to repeat that. If you're the only one in your circle that's doing good, guess what? You need to change that circle. You need to be aligning with people that are doing better than you, people that can stretch you, people that can develop you. You need to change your circle. Find an accountable buddy. Find someone that can hold you accountable, that can say, you know what, Ange, you're talking a lot of sugar. Do you know what, Ange, I didn't like the way you did it. Do you know what, Angela, you could have done this differently. Find an accountable buddy, a friend, a colleague that can keep it real with you. Don't surround yourself with yes people, because guess what? Yes people don't stretch you. Yes people don't grow you. Surround yourself with a critical friend. Someone that can keep it real, that can tell you the truth. You know what, Angela? You could have done that better. Do you know what, Angela? Do this differently. an accountable body that can keep it real with you. Someone can tell you that, guess what? The truth. Find yourself a coach. I'm a coach and I've got a coach. I'm a mentor and I have a mentor. Find yourself a coach. Someone that can coach you. Someone that's doing better than you. Someone that's done it. Someone that has achieved a good outcome. Find yourself someone that can coach you. Someone that can mentor you. Someone that can excite you. Someone that can motivate you. Because remember, ultimately, you're motivating yourself, but it's good to collaborate and partner with people, like-minded people. So make those meaningful connections. Make those meaningful connections. I'm hoping that those points have been beneficial for you this morning. And for those that are just joining me, as I mentioned, you can listen to the recording again. It's on my Facebook page, Angela Lee. It's also on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee. You can subscribe to it. Please do so. Denise is saying, level up. Love that, Angela. I'm not leveling down to you. Absolutely. So you have to level up. So external, in terms of work and social and family and fun. So for work, we're going to be pushing yourself to achieve your goals versus seeing the bigger picture and enjoying the ride. So as much as we're trying to attain to our goals, we need to see the bigger picture, and we need to enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey in achieving our goals. It doesn't have to be, mundane or laborious. We need to enjoy the journey. In terms of social, satisfying those social desires, taking time for yourself. Be good to yourself. Be gentle to yourself. Take time to yourself. Sometimes do nothing. Sometimes just get some popcorn out and watch a movie. Treat yourself to a sauna, to a pedicure. For those of us with hair, for a new haircut. Treat yourself. Buy yourself a gift. Buy yourself a reward. Take time for yourself. Read a book. Chill. Sit in the garden. Enjoy nature. Listen to music. Taking time for yourself is so important. Yes, Anne is saying, embrace the journey to our destination. Absolutely, embrace it. I'm excited about my next chapter of my life. And as I shared with you, my youngest daughter has gone to university. I've got my youngest son here, and I'm coming from a family of 4, and I'm now down to 1. I know my daughter, she's going to come back after her 3 year, and she's got her plan. I'm down to 1 child here. And so embrace your journey. Embrace it. Fulfilling your family responsibilities. And as I mentioned before, some of us are mothers, some of us are wives, some of us, we have partners, we have family relations. And sometimes we feel so overwhelmed in terms of what that looks like in terms of fulfilling our family responsibilities. But our responsibility is to ourselves first and foremost. Your responsibility is to yourself first. So create those healthy boundaries. And as we mentioned, those toxic family members, those toxic energy drainers, set those healthy boundaries. If you don't have to see them every week, you don't have to see them every month, you don't have to see them every year. Set those healthy boundaries. And in terms of fun, allocating time for things you enjoy, making sure that you don't overdo it. So start looking at the things that you enjoy doing. What do you enjoy doing? Allocating time for those things that you enjoy. So important. What do you enjoy doing? Allocate time to do those things that you enjoy. And making sure that you're not a workaholic and you're not overdoing it. Because it's so important in this world that we're living in, this changing world, that we find a balance, that we find alignment, that we find a sense of peace, that we find a sense of calm, that we find a sense of enjoyment that we find a sense of fun. So important for us to find that. Don't overdo it. Don't you dare. Don't you dare overdo it. Now, in terms of the throat chakra, and we talked about that, so important for us to speak our truth, our wishes, our desires, our needs, so that people can best be the person, or that you can be the best person that you can be, and that people they know what you need. So important. And for the actions that I want you to take before I end the show this morning, some of the actions I want us to take, because if you don't speak your truth, you're going to lack that confidence that hampers your ability to express yourself so that others truly know and understand you. So it's so important to keep that throat chakra clear so that you are confident in your ability to express yourself so that others know and understand you. You need to tell people what you need, what you want. And so before I end the show, I just want us to do this step. In order for us, some of us are struggling with speaking our truths this morning in order to find that balance that we need. Let's do this exercise. So I want you to find a quiet place wherever you're sitting or wherever you're lying down this morning. Find a quiet place. And let's just sit there, this quiet place that we're sitting in this morning. Now let's start taking some deep, calming breaths. Let's start. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Let's take some calming breaths this morning. Inhale and exhale this morning. Over the airways, let's inhale and exhale. Over social media, over YouTube, let's inhale and exhale. Now, I want us to use our fingertips and I want us to gently massage the base of our collarbone where it meets the throat. So that's our collarbone. Yeah, that's our collarbone where it meets our throat. And we're going to gently massage it. This is doing some good work for me. We're going to gently massage that collarbone where it meets the throat. Yeah, let's gently massage it. Now we're going to move your fingers in a circular pattern, working your way through your throat and beneath your chin. So on a circular rotation, we're going to use your fingertips to gently massage a circular pattern, working your way up to your throat and near your chin. We're doing a circular rotation here. This is good. This is clearing something here. I'm going to be speaking more of my truth. Circular pattern, working your way up your throat and beneath your chin. We're doing a massage with your two fingertips this morning. Massaging. And then I want you, as we're doing this, I want you to envisage a glowing, swirling ball of blue energy. You can close your eyes while you're doing this if you like. And then just envisage a glowing, swirling ball of blue energy at the base of your throat. So you've got this blue energy at the base of your throat. It's warm and it's soothing. It's warm and it's soothing and it's pulsing with quiet power. Yeah, can you just envisage that as you're doing that circular rotation on your throat to your chin. And you feel its warmth surrounding your throat. Can you feel that warmth surrounding your throat? I can feel it. Can you? You feel that warmth surrounding your throat. And it grows larger, warm in your face and your chest, and then your entire body. So you feel this sense of heat. And I tell you, in these autumn months, we do need this sense of heat and warmth, don't we? And so we're continuing to massage your throat up to your chin area. You can see this blue energy base around your throat. And you can feel this warm sensation surrounding your throat as it grows larger, warm in your face, and it's warm in your entire body. Now slowly lower your hands and allow the blue energy to settle into your body as you take 2 deep cleansing breaths. So we're going to lower our hands and we're taking 2 deep cleansing breaths. Now the energy of the throat chakra, it enables you to express yourself so that others can see the real you, the best of who you are. So people are going to begin to see the real you. And the affirmation for today, and I know we did our affirmations this morning, but I want you to do this affirmation 7 times today. You know, as you're enjoying the rest of your weekend, I want you to say this affirmation. I am expressing the best of who I am. I am expressing the best of who I am. I am expressing the best of who I am. I am expressing the best of who I am this morning. I am expressing the best of who I am. 7 times today, if we say this affirmation. And I just want to thank you all for joining me on the show this morning. Denise is saying this is a great thyroid massage too, which helps with menopausal and hormonal issues as well as releasing unexpressed thoughts and feelings. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for joining me this morning on the show. Thank you for all those that have participated in the conversation this morning on Facebook Live, on StreamYard, and on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much this morning. I'm hoping that you found the show beneficial. Explore those techniques and the coping strategies that we discussed this morning. Do that list. Remember your morning routine. Create it. If you do it for 21 days, it becomes a habit and then it will become normalized. Have those normalized conversations with everyone. Normalize those conversations in terms of your well-being and your mental health. Tap into those resources that are out there in terms of the support that you can get. There's psychotherapy, there's the NHS talk therapy, there's the Samaritans. There's a couple of things that you can tap into. What I will do at the end of the show, I will put those links for you. Many blessings for those that have joined me this morning. Many blessings to you. I'm going to end with this lovely number. It's an amazing artist that I love. And that's how I'm going to end the show this morning. We've got the universe covering us. We're safe and we're secure. Thank you for joining me this morning. No matter what comes our way, we're safe this morning. Have a great weekend this morning.
I'm under your wings. You got me. You cover me. You cover me.
We have Anthony B on LM Soul Radio after me at 11 o'clock with his 80s show. So for you 80s swingers, join in the show. We have Charmaine X with her reggae show later on between 4 and 5. We have Junkster Position with their conversations later on this evening. And we have the lovely Esther with her show in the evening between 8 o'clock. Dear. I'm clearing my throat chakra this morning. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Remember to speak your truth, to practice self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, because that is the way we're going to get balance in our lives in this colourful, chaotic world. Have a great weekend, and thank you for joining me. You're going to see me next week. Next week, I'm going to be talking with the amazing Carol Fraser about her amazing business, her health business on Sunday, next Sunday. We're going to be joining with Carol Fraser next Sunday. And so join us for that. And hopefully on Saturday, we will have also another guest. And so keep it real with yourself. Be true to yourself. And remember, no one can save you but yourself. But there are resources that you can tap into access in order to live that balanced life. And remember, surround yourself with positive, progressive people. Have a great weekend. And I'll put those links in terms of the resources that you can actually access in terms of your well-being and your mental health in a bit. So be good to yourself and have a great weekend. Take care and have a great week. And I'll see you next week.